Hello, welcome back to my channel. I'm Dana, and today we are painting a spooky Halloween witchy themed painting featuring the Sanderson sisters from Hocus Pocus. So Hocus Pocus is one of my very favorite movies, not just for Halloween, but really for any time. So I thought it would be fun to do a Halloween painting featuring my 3 favorite witches. Also, it's just another excuse for me to wear my little witch hat. And this will be our second Halloween painting on the channel. So hopefully, if all goes according to plan, there will be 2 paintings out either before or on Halloween. So yeah, that'll all be up to editing Dana though, of course. Anyways, let's start painting. Oh, and check out this cool cup I got from the Disney store. Has nothing to do with the painting. Well, actually, kind of, because it has the Sanderson sisters. And on this side, it has Thackeray Binks. And like little tail is like the handle. Anyways, let's make a painting. All right. Sisters!
Okay, so before we get started, you're going to need some supplies. You'll want to have some paint, something to mix your paint on, some water, and of course your brushes and some paper towels. And I'll list the colors in the description below. Okay, so we're going to start with our background, and we're going to make a dark purple color for our sky. So we're mixing the blue and the magenta together. And maybe even a touch of black. Now, before we actually paint in the sky, we want to find where our moon is going to be, so we can draw like a big circle as a placeholder for where the moon will be, and we don't have to paint that area in, because that would just be a waste of paint. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Once you have your moon area, you're going to paint all around it. So just go ahead and fill up all the canvas all the way around. So I had a battery die and had to replace it, and in the meantime my paint dried, so I had to remix it, and it came out a little darker, but that's not a problem. You can see I'm just filling in the rest of the canvas and then just blending this color back over the color I had before, so no worries if anything like that happens to you. And you do want to make sure that the paint around your moon is wet, because the next part we're going to be blending the moon color into the sky to make a glow, so it is really helpful if that paint is wet. So when you're done, you're going to go ahead and wipe off your brush. It doesn't have to be totally clean, because it's fine if this part mixes a little. You're going to grab some white, and you're going to go ahead and fill in your moon. Again, if a little bit of that purpley color gets mixed in, that's totally fine, because as you can see, we want to blur the edges of our moon and kind of blend them into the sky, creating a nice moon glow effect. So just keep on adding white and blending that into your sky until you have your desired effect. And I like to do like these little wispy bits around the moon too, just to make it like more mysterious. And if you need to, you can go back with your dark color around the edges and blend those edges, or darken your corners even more if you want. So you can see I'm kind of cleaning up some of those edges and darkening my corners. And now we're going to go back to that smaller brush, and we're going to brighten up the center of the moon. So we're going to make a pale yellow for our moon in the center. So it's white, there's a tiny bit of yellow, and now we're just going to go ahead and refill in the moon and crisp up the very edges of the moon, and maybe try to make it look a little bit more perfectly round.
But again, that's not really super necessary. Especially if you're bad at circles, kind of having this faded, glowy edge of the moon is a great way to disguise an imperfect or lopsided circle. You could also make it a crescent moon too if you really are intimidated by a big circle. But you'll see why later, why we want to have that big white background for our silhouettes. So the next thing we're going to do is add some stars, and we want to use the same color, but we want this color to be very wet, so we're adding water to it. You can either use a spray bottle or just take your brush and drip water from your cup into that paint. And now to make the stars, you're going to take your brush and use your finger to flick the bristles. And you're just going to add those stars all over the sky, wherever you want the stars. And this makes a nice little splattering effect. Okay, so we're going to continue using that same brush, and we're going to make a dark gray color next. So I'm mixing black and white together. And I would say make yours a little bit lighter than what I'm mixing right now. You'll see later I do have to lighten it because trying to do like a dark gray on a dark purple background didn't really work out so well. So as you can see, I'm coming back in here and I did make my gray a little bit lighter. So we're just drawing our cauldron shape. So it's kind of like a big half circle shape, or you know, like a cauldron shape. And I'm just gonna go ahead and fill that in. And I'm just gonna close up the top of the cauldron here with a curved line and add a slight lip to the end of the cauldron. However, that's all gonna get covered up later when we add the bubbles, but I just added it anyways. Right, and I'm gonna go ahead and add some little legs to the cauldron. These are just like 3 little triangular shapes down on the bottom. Now we have little legs for our cauldron to stand on. Next part of the painting is gonna be the silhouettes flying over the moon. And you just wanna make sure that color is dry first. And we're gonna use a much smaller brush. And we're just gonna keep using that dark gray. You can even just use plain black. And just figure out where you want your broomstick to be. And then take a deep breath and go ahead and draw a diagonal line going across your moon for however big you want your broom to be. Now I'm putting 3 witches on mine, so I wanna make sure it is big enough to accommodate all 3, but you could do just 1 single witch and get away with a smaller broom if you want. And now I'm gonna go ahead and add the little bristles to the back of the broom, and you could do this in whatever shape you want. You could make it look like a modern broom, or like how in the movie, I believe on the poster it was a vacuum, because in the movie Mary flew on a vacuum. So you can customize it however you want. I'm just going for like a traditional witch broom. And now our witches. So first up is of course Winifred Sanderson, and we're gonna start with really simple basic shapes for our silhouette. So you can see I'm just doing a triangle shape with a little circle on top. And then under the broom, we're gonna just put some flowing lines for like her dress flowing. For her arm, we're just gonna have a diagonal line coming out. And then we'll add like a little bell sleeve, which again is kind of another triangle shape. Don't worry about the hand yet. I'm gonna go ahead and fill in my shapes with black. Okay, so let's go ahead and add some detail to Winnie. So we're gonna give her a little bit more shape for her dress, and of course her signature hairstyle, that
very Queen Elizabeth, kind of heart-shaped almost hair on the top of her head. And you can get as detailed as you want with this part. I'm keeping mine pretty simple. And now for her hands, I'm just doing a couple small lines coming out, kind of making it almost like claw-like, her hands. Next up is Mary, and I'm having her ride backwards on the back of the broom because she's the silly one. Well, they're all kind of silly. Again, starting with that triangle shape and a little circle. And then for the bottom of hers, I decided to have like her little feet dangling off. But you could, if you don't want to draw the little feet, you could just have like her dress flowing. And I'm going to go ahead and fill this one in as well. And just add a few more curves to make her look less like a triangle. And then give her an arm, kind of holding onto the back of the broom. And just some more flowing lines for like her dress kind of flowing off the back. And can't forget to add her signature hairstyle as well. And she has that kind of curved, almost like a witch hat shape on the top of her head. And finally, on the front of the broom, we have Sarah, who as a child was my favorite. Again, we're gonna use that triangle shape and a little circle on the top for her head. And with Sarah, I have her legs kind of dangling off the bottom as well, but we see a little bit more of her legs. And again, if you don't want to do the legs and the feet, you could just have her skirt kind of flowing, just like Winnie's is in the middle. And then we're going to add an arm for Sarah as well, and she's holding on to the front of the broom. And just like the other two, we'll go ahead and add a few more curves just to make her look less like a triangle, and add her signature hair as well. And she has long flowing hair, and I'm having it kind of flow off to the side here, kind of off like towards the front of the broom. And then just add a few more curves and details to finish off the Sanderson sisters. So next we are going to add some bubbling potion coming out of the cauldron. So we're going back to that slightly bigger brush, and we're going to make a nice bright green color for this. So you're going to mix yellow with a little bit of blue, so you get a nice bright green. And the more yellow you add, the brighter it will be. So wipe most of this off of your brush. You don't need a lot on there. And you're just going to dab this on in random shapes. I like to have it kind of like flowing out. And then you can smudge it with your finger to make it look a little bit more like, almost like smoke or mist coming out of it. And I'm just going to continue to do this. And I like to do random swirly shapes, like it's kind of almost like tentacles or tendrils coming out of the cauldron. And I do small sections at a time. I just kind of dab the paint on there, and then with my finger just kind of smudge it away to give it that smoky texture. And you could do as much or as little as you like, but I'm just going to go ahead and let you watch. I do a whole bunch of it just flowing out of the cauldron all over. I'm going to use the same color to go ahead and add some highlights around the edges of the cauldron. This is also going to help the cauldron kind of pop from the background. And because our magical potion's spilling out, I imagine it's kind of glowing. It's creating this highlight. So I'm going to mix up a lighter yellowy green now. With a smaller brush, I'm going to add some bubbles to our potion in our cauldron. So I'm just kind of going over with that lighter color and drawing in just like little circle or half circle shapes with little highlights. And this will make it look like bubbles. And if you feel like you need to add a little bit more potion in there before you do bubbles, you can go back with your potion color and maybe add in some areas that are a little more bubbling looking. And then you can go back over those bubbles with that lighter green highlight and create your highlights. And this will make it look like bubbles bubbling out of the cauldron. And I'm just gonna go through and just add a whole bunch of these, just like the smoky tendrils of our potion. So I'm just going back and adding a little bit more details to all of my bubbles and adding more of that potion spilling out, more of those little tendrily shapes coming out. And just finishing touches on my potion, and that is really it. That is the last part of this painting. And so there you have it, the Sanderson sisters from Hocus Pocus.
Ready, Bella? All right. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel, share this with all of your friends, and if you have any ideas for what we should paint next, please let me know down in the comments below. And if you have painted along, please tag me on social media so I can see it. That way I can share your paintings on the channel. Oh yeah, and I always forget to mention, I am on Patreon as well, so if you want to support me there, I'll have information down in the description. And have a happy Halloween and be safe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye. Or I should say, we will see you. Yeah, we will see you in the next video. Bye.